If there was ever the perfect opportunity to aggressively pursue Donovan Mitchell, that opportunity is right now because Cleveland is in disaster mode. They are dealing with a lot of things right now, and Leon Rose and the Knicks need to be watching Cleveland in that situation like a hawk. Because if they make Donovan Mitchell available for a trade, the Knicks need to pounce immediately and try to get Donovan on this Knicks team as soon as possible. We're going to break down exactly why Cleveland is in crisis mode and why the New York Knicks have the perfect opportunity right now to get Donovan Mitchell on this Knicks team. All of this and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Cleveland is in crisis. This is Leon's perfect opportunity to trade for that star player like he wants in Donovan Mitchell. Spida and the Knicks have been linked since he's been in Utah, and that's continued even when he joined the Cavaliers. And now we've been waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity for the Cleveland Cavaliers to likely spiral out of control. Cue the spiraling, because after these reported injuries, the Cleveland Cavaliers season is up in the air. And anything could happen. These are the reports from Adrian Wojnarowski and, of course, from Shams regarding Evan Mobley and Darius Garland, two key pieces for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Woj reports Mobley will undergo arthroscopic surgery on his left knee and expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. And according to Shams, Darius Garland has sustained a fractured jaw and expected to miss several weeks. Garland suffered an injury to the head area in a collision with Kristaps Porzingis on Thursday night in Boston. Before I make comments on anything else, I just want to say shout out to Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. I wish them speedy recoveries and I hope they're well, and these are not significant injuries to their careers. They're young players and they're really good players as well too. So I want to see them grow and continue to grow in their NBA careers. Now with that out of the way, this unfortunate turn of events for Cleveland is what presents opportunity in the NBA for other teams, namely the Knicks and Leon Rose. Once that came out, Shams reported the following about the situation in Cleveland. According to Shams, Donovan Mitchell's long-term future with the franchise looms large. If he won't commit to the Cavs beyond next season, the team would likely have to trade him. If the Cavs season is to be derailed by these two lengthy injuries to key players, the rest of the league will immediately turn to the shores to see if Mitchell is available even earlier. They would need to restock their cupboard with draft picks if they decide they need to move on. Shout out to Shams for giving us this following update on Donovan Mitchell and his potential future with the Cleveland Cavaliers. We knew this though. We knew when Donovan Mitchell did not sign that extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers this offseason, and he noted that he was going to potentially wait to do that, these reports were going to come out. They started coming out even before the season started. With the Cleveland Cavaliers not doing amazing this season, the reports have only strengthened and intensified. Now, with injuries to these two key players on Cleveland, these reports are not going to stop. They're going to be nonstop. And even though Cleveland did well last night and they won their game and they did what they needed to do against a very game Atlanta Hawks team, that was good and that's credit to them. I don't think that's sustainable. I don't know if they can do that type of play each and every single night. And because of that, you're going to have to rely on Donovan Mitchell even more, putting more pressure on him and his shoulders to carry that team and carry the offensive load each and every night. That's a lot of pressure to ask a young man to do. He did that in Utah. It didn't work out very well. And now he has to do it in Cleveland with players that are injured. Key players, mind you, that are injured. I don't know how long he can keep that up. Donovan Mitchell wants to be in a winning situation. And if he's not in a winning situation, he's likely going to look elsewhere to see where he can go get that type of situation. And if he can go back home to get that situation, you can bet he's going to want to do that too. That's why all eyes have him either going to the Brooklyn Nets, which I would hate to see, or him coming to the New York Knicks, which really is the most likely. He's a Mets fan, orange and blue. He was linked to the Knicks since his Utah days. He's been linked to the Knicks even before that. I've wanted Donovan Mitchell as a New York Knick for years, And now is the perfect opportunity, given all of these injuries, for the Knicks to pounce and get Donovan on this team. However, before the Knicks can do that, they have to do what they've been doing right now. Just be a little bit more patient. Cleveland will start losing. I believe that. They cannot sustain this type of play with all these players doing what they're doing each and every game, night after night after night. You can't ask Donovan Mitchell to do it night after night after night. So I think it's only a matter of time before they start losing game after game after game. And then at that point, that's when you strike. That's when you pick up the phone and aggressively pursue Donovan Mitchell and try to get him on this Knicks team. He is a game changer. Box office, checks the box in terms of star, and absolutely knocks at the door of superstardom. You pair Donovan Mitchell with Jalen Brunson, you immediately, instantly create one of the most offensively explosive backcourts that you're ever going to see in the NBA. And I'm telling you now, other defenses are going to have fits on a nightly basis having to deal with either Donovan Mitchell or Jalen Brunson. Either one of them can go off. Either one of them can give you 30 or 40 points at the drop of a hat. And you're going to have to decide, do I want to stop Jalen or do I want to stop Donovan? And if they can keep Julius Randle as well too, and you got to worry about Randle, I don't know what to tell you. This Knicks team is going to be dangerous. You cannot avoid what Donovan Mitchell is doing. Regardless of how much Cleveland is going to do, if they lose, whatever the case may be, you have to look at the player Donovan Mitchell is and what he can add to this Knicks team. Instant spacing. Instantly, they would be a top team and considered a threat in the Eastern Conference as soon as you add Donovan Mitchell to the team. Especially if you can get Donovan for a fair deal with Cleveland, which you might be able to do, even though the Nets are looming there and they can also give a good trade offer to the Cleveland Cavilers for Donovan Mitchell. I think obviously everybody knows he wants to go to the Knicks. And if the Cavs want to do him right and want to send him to the Knicks and ask for a fair asking price, I think the Knicks will have no problem giving them that package, getting Donovan home to the New York Knicks, the team he should have been on for a few years now, and making things right. Getting Leon that star he always should have had, and then creating a problem, as Scott Perry would call it, a high-level problem that the Knicks coaching staff have to figure out. But having Donovan on this team is absolutely something that you don't ignore and you want to have happen, because he's an instant shot creator. He can do anything you want him to do on the floor. He's a good defender when he wants to be. And absolutely, Donovan on this Knicks team makes New York an instant threat in the Eastern Conference. And that's what it's about. You want to get better in the East. You want to take steps in the East. Trading for players like Donovan Mitchell, especially if the trade package is fair, that's how you do it. Seizing opportunity, that's how you do it. The Knicks need to open their eyes and make sure they're fixated only on Cleveland at this point in time, because they are posing as the most realistic place for the New York Knicks to trade for that star player that they've wanted for years mid-season. Watch and wait. And even though the Donovan Mitchell situation in Cleveland looked great last night, he was still asked by the media after the game what his future is in Cleveland, and he gave this response. I'm not answering anything. No disrespect. I appreciate that you have to ask the question, but I'm not going there with any of those questions. My focus is on these guys being out, us trying to find a way to get wins. Shout out to New York Basketball on the app X for giving us the following information. You know, I hear that and I understand where he's coming from. And, he has to say that because he's the face of Cleveland right now. He's the only important player that's playing on the floor for them at the moment in terms of the face of the franchise. And he needs to be able to will that team, will that fan base to think that they have opportunity and chances still to win and compete with these guys out until they come back. So I understand where he's coming from. But I also remember this following clip, and I can't get it out of my head. Roll it.
I tell you, I got traded, September 3rd? Maybe something like that? On the 1st, I went to sleep. Okay, I'm on the Knicks. I'm going to New York. I'm building a house back home. I was already doing that anyway. So I'm like, all right, we got to expedite that. Like, we got to get all this stuff figured out. And, just 2 days later, my agent called me and said I was going to Cleveland. So that was a shock at first. But I would say that that was a moment when I was like pretty certain that that was going to be the case. And, I told everybody, like, all right, guys, keep it quiet. But this is probably going to happen.
I went to sleep thinking I was going to be a New York Knick. I can't get that out of I can't get those words that Donovan Mitchell just said out of my head. Not only that, you got to remember, he was telling a lot of people close to him that he was going to be a New York Knick. He was going to be in New York. That's where he was going. And it's like a little kid who can't hide his happiness or his giddiness. I felt like that's where he was. And that's what he went to sleep thinking. And then a couple of days later, he's in Cleveland. Obviously, he's saying what he needs to say for the Cleveland Cavaliers and that franchise. And obviously, I understand since then why he said what he said about Cleveland, the Cavs, that team, wanting to be there and things like that. Because obviously, he doesn't want to create a problem or a situation. He doesn't want to be that guy or that player. And he's never been that type of player anyways. He likes to be on a team that's competitive and winning. We all know that. So that's the only thing you have to look at with Donovan Mitchell and his situation. With Cleveland right now, it's a question mark. We don't know how they're going to be. As last night showed, they might be great. You never know. The Knicks must watch Cleveland. That's it. The first inkling that they get that something is going wrong in Cleveland, that something could be going on in Cleveland, that they could potentially be making multiple players available in Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell may be available in Cleveland. Leon Rose cannot waste any time. He cannot wait for other teams to jump in and start bidding or bidding before him or anything like that. They have to make sure they pick up the phone, they call, and they ask what it would take to get Donovan Mitchell on this Knicks team, and then pull the trigger, get him on this team, and watch how fast this Knicks team turns into that threat in the East. And then, during the offseason, you add more talent and potentially you add another star and you continue to build and win and become that team that New York has been desperately waiting for years. Donovan Mitchell may be the first stop in the New York Knicks getting there. But the only way that happens is for Leon Rose, our Knicks president, to get off his chair, pick up the phone, and start getting those moves started. We need to see some change. The Knicks need change. We need more talent. And the first opportunity for that may have just presented itself in that issue, that crisis in Cleveland that might feature Donovan Mitchell. But what about you guys? What do you think about this situation in Cleveland? Should the New York Knicks be looking at this situation and pounce to try to get Donovan Mitchell on this Knicks team? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.